slips tonight.
I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 regular City Council meeting of the East Lansing City Council. Could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Altman.
Here.
Councilmember Meadows.
Here.
Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Singh.
Here.
Mayor Brookover.
Here. We have a motion to approve, or we have an approval of the agenda on the docket. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Meadows, seconded by
Second.
Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Item 1.3, excuse me, approval of the minutes. We have before us regular council meeting minutes of 27 May 2025. Do we have a motion with regard to those minutes, please?
So moved.
Moved by, I didn't hear who. Meadows? Seconded by
I'll second.
Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Mayor, I have a correction.
Sure.
On page 2, section 3, under 3.1, Officer Robinson is Officer Robeson.
Okay. Thank you. I assume that's a friendly amendment which the maker and the seconder will accept?
Absolutely.
Okay. With that amendment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes as amended. Communications from the audience. Item 2.1, all written communications received by council are posted on the online agenda packet, which is available to everybody. Item 2.2, communications from the audience. I have several slips. Robin Etchison, excuse me.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm a commissioner with the East Lansing Independent Oversight Police Commission. But this evening, I'm coming not as a representative of the commission, but just as an individual commissioner. Transparency and accountability. My question is, what's wrong with them? I can't think of a profession that functions without them. City Council is in the process of negotiating away the ability of the East Lansing Police Oversight Commission to pursue transparency and accountability of the East Lansing Police Department. The primary function, which is the primary function of the commission, its very foundation is transparency and accountability. If the City Council is no longer supportive of this commission, then it should display the courage to dissolve it. But until then, someone from the council, perhaps you, Mark, since you are our liaison, would come before the commission and explain to us what is wrong with transparency and accountability, and why is accountability associated with discipline according to the police. This commission has never sought to discipline police officers. The committee that worked to establish this commission painstakingly avoided including any type of discipline powers. The committee focused on transparency and accountability. If not the City Council, then someone from East Lansing Police Department or its union, please explain to me and the commission what is wrong with transparency and accountability. My goal as a commissioner and volunteer servant of all the citizens and visitors of East Lansing is to see perfection of the East Lansing Police Department to become an example of community policing. The City of East Lansing just hired a police chief that expressed sentiment that members of the commission were police haters at a recent commission meeting I attended. I find this disrespectful and insulting to the commission and myself personally and our integrity. I have a current member of my family, a close member of my family, as a police officer, and I have 2 retired police officers in my family. So to insinuate that I or someone else or that a commission I serve on would be a police hater, again, I find it insulting, disrespectful, and a challenge to my integrity. She did apologize later, however. She did apologize. However, the sentiment was expressed, and that sentiment about this commission is real. I ask why. for pursuing transparency and accountability. What is wrong with that? As a member of a union for 50 years, I have a good working understanding of union workings. It appears to me that the City Council has succumbed to the pressure of the East Lansing Police Department and its union and the Oversight Commission. We became the sacrificial lamb. The City of East Lansing and all its citizens and visitors deserve a just, fair, impartial police force bolstered by transparency and accountability. Without them, I state for the record, East Lansing and East Lansing Police Department are setting themselves up for a possible litigation for questionable police conduct and even possible litigation from the citizens of East Lansing and its visitors. I conclude with this. Transparency and accountability of East Lansing Police Department are beneficial to the City of East Lansing, all of its citizens, visitors, and also to the East Lansing Police Department itself. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Sugata Roy?
My name is Sugata Roy. I am the owner of Pizza Wala at East Lansing. So this is regarding the business agenda 5.1. I'm just here to address any public comments or questions that you have.
Okay,
Nothing much
when
to
the
add.
time comes, we may call on you.
Sorry?
When the time comes, we may call on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carson Patton?
Hi, I'm Carson Patton. I'm here with Sugata and Pizza Wallas. Also just wanted to re-express my support for allowing alcohol service, and I'm here for questions. I think right now it's important to note with restaurants, we're seeing really high increased food and labor costs, and having alcohol service as a supplement really can be the difference maker between a restaurant just surviving and thriving. So I'll be here for questions later in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Anderson?
Good evening, City Council members. Excuse me. My topic is electrical power failures. That better? Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine.
Sounds better even to me. Thank you. Three questions occurred to me in the aftermath of the latest power failure on May 16th, or May 15th and 16th. I'll just quickly pose them, suggest a couple of answers, and then I'll suggest some future directions for council. First and foremost, the May 15th and 16th occasion was a night power failure. But the street lights in my neighborhood, Glencairn, stayed on. And I'm puzzled why they stayed on when there were massive outages on the east side of Lansing, Groesbeck, Frandor. It's no fun to try to get dressed in the air, or get dressed by flashlight at 4:15 a.m. to try to get to the airport. For what turned out to be a successful 6 a.m. flight southward. Just as one kind of sarcastic suggestion here, maybe we should ask Board of Water and Light to install some wall outlets on light poles that could be activated for emergency situations. I'm extra sensitive on the question of power failures because I work at MSU, I'm on campus a lot, and MSU basically north of Mount Hope Road has no power failures other than occasional situations of brief outages, usually deriving from the main power plant. But MSU stays on when East Lansing goes off. A third question is, why does it appear that Meridian Township has fewer power failures than we do here? I have friends in Meridian Township. I can count on them for hospitality when the lights fail here. I'll make just a couple of quick suggestions here as my time runs down and out. First of all, I know that trying to understand the grid, let alone do something about it, is a complicated matter. So I propose that first, City Council begin to develop facts on power failures, designed for the citizens of this town. Second, set some public goals for putting more of our power system underground. That's clearly got to be part of the long-range solution in terms of the electrical dimension of climate change
You have 30
resilience.
seconds remaining.
So that my time is up, and I thank you for your attention.
Okay, thanks for your input. Mr. Harand?
Hi, thank you. Jeff Harand, also here on business agenda item 5.1. As far as I can tell, Pizza Walla has been to one or two DDA meetings, two or more planning meetings, now 2 or more city council meetings for this special use permit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but DDA recommended approval, planning endorsed approval of this special use. So once again, I'm here in support of it. Pizza Walla is an upscale, full-service, sit-down restaurant. Offering beer and wine and alcohol as part of a menu is crucial to their success. Sugata and his family are committed to East Lansing community, and they're making a large investment in the space, and they're making a large investment in the city. The format of these meetings make it difficult sometimes because the public comment is before your discussion phase. So I can't respond to some of the questions that come up. So I wanted to be a little proactive and address some of the items that have come up in previous meetings. The former MSU space, credit union space, is a large space in the middle of the downtown. Typically, those spaces are harder to fill because it's 4,000 square feet, not your typical 1,500, 2,000 square foot space. Pizza Walla is not a student dive bar. It's a full-service sit-down restaurant. Okay, restaurants with indoor and outdoor seating concentrated in a downtown district is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Go to Ann Arbor, go to Royal Oak, go to Ferndale. These are examples of downtown areas with multiple restaurants on the main street next to each other, all with outdoor patio seating, indoor restaurant seating, all offering alcohol as part of their menu. Go east on Grand River from Peanut Barrel. I don't think there's any full-serve sit-down restaurants going east with alcohol service until you get to Hagedorn. I don't think so. And then if you even go west along Grand River, There may be just a couple bars, but there's not a high concentration of restaurants serving alcohol on Grand River. Robert Phipps had the foresight to design our building with room for outdoor patio seating, unlike other buildings along Grand River where there's not enough room. So none of us want to see a vacant 4,000 square foot credit union in the middle of downtown. This is the highest and best use for this space. So I would ask you, please approve this application.
Thank you for your input. Robbie Van Artsen.
Good evening. My name is Robbie. I am here as a renter north of Lake Lansing. I would just like to start with saying thank you for coming, and thank you to all of our neighbors too for coming out too. I appreciate you participating in our shared city. I'd like to speak for the 15 apartment complexes we've built north of Lake Lansing since 2000. We do exist, and even if we have a more transient population, we do count. We are a population that's going to continue to live here as well. We've already passed the season with many students that have left to go to other places in the summertime. There's many of us that are still here. I would like for you to please remember that this is a place that people live because we've already invested there. But at the same time, we need to remember that we've already reached our peak population. 2 years ago, we reached the highest population that East Lansing will see. We've reached the point where American families are having less children 18 years ago. In anticipation of this, MSU 2 years ago had planned to start having both sophomores and freshmen, before it was just the freshmen, stay at the MSU dorms mandatory because they knew that each year from here our population is going to decline. We can't continue to grow. It's been a 80-year mindset since the end of World War II to grow. We need to make a strategic retreat at this point, slowly, incrementally. We need to plan on what are we going to do with the land north of Lake Lansing for the next 20 years, next 40 years, as our population continues to decline. And this is not a bad thing. This is an opportunity for us to really think about our areas. Where can we gently densify? Where are we able to activate the people that we have here, even the transient ones? But even those who in our apartment complex north of Lake Lansing, I live at 25 East. I have neighbors who've lived here for 9 years, 11 years. I've lived there for 5 years. We are not transient populations. We live here because we have to. That's where the Catabus line runs. I have a car. My roommate does not, because he has an injury that allows him to not even be able to ride a bike. He doesn't have a license. He can't drive. He depends on the CATA service to make it to where he needs to go. We don't have many choices. Even if we wanted to live in places further south, it's expensive. It's very difficult for many people to live anywhere except in the 15 apartment complexes north of Lake Lansing. This is not a choice. This is where we have to live if we want to live and use the services. We love the CATA service. We love our bike lanes. We love the services the city provides, and we want you to know that we would like representation. We would like people to remember that we are here, and we will be here, and we will continue to be here as long as our system exists the way it does. I think this is an opportunity for us to continue to work toward including this population north of Lake Lansing. And the part of this too, we would like you to consider declining the opportunity of the gas station north of Lake Lansing on Abbott Road as well. Who is this for? It's not for the people who live nearby. The median income for East Lansing is $43,000. The average cost to own a car can be $5,000, $10,000 a year. This could be a fourth of an income for the bottom half of our population. We need to slowly make choices like saying no to a new gas station and make that decision to slowly move back into our center, to densify our center, and to make smart choices for those who have the least money, which is half our population. 30% of our population is under the poverty level in East Lansing. We need to consider this when thinking about something like a new gas station? What would be its next use? We just heard about the restaurant that is trying to make the best use of its location. Sometimes the best use of location is to leave it as is. What will this cost
You
the
have
city
30
to maintain
seconds
that?
remaining.
Thank you. What will this cost the city for the next 20 years? What will we have to do to decommission this in 30 years when the mayor knows that it is going to be not profitable anymore to have this location when they close, when they leave? It's our responsibility to decommission this site. Please remember this. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Carissa Buchholz.
Good evening. My name is Carissa Buchholz, and I live at 1030 Glenhaven Avenue. I want to thank the city for taking the concerns of the Glen Caron Elementary School Community Council seriously. Solutions are desperately needed at our crosswalk, as the council is aware. As according to an October 2022 speed data, 70% of drivers are speeding through the crosswalk, with 15% exceeding 35 miles per hour, and 2 instances of vehicles going over 57 miles per hour during the speed study in a 25 mile per hour school zone. So we are very pleased to see the 3-phase plan laid out by Public Works and are looking forward to seeing the proposed solutions for our crosswalk on Harrison and North Lawn. We also want to thank the city for its great work ensuring that a crossing guard has been present at the crosswalk in the last few weeks. So thank you. There's been much discussion recently about pedestrian safety issues due to excessive speeding and reckless driving around our community. City Council has heard extensively from many upset citizens regarding the safety hazards we are facing due to speeding traffic. I have come here tonight to share with the Council what we gain when people walk in our community and why it's worth the effort to make our city more pedestrian and bike-friendly. I want to share with you my daughter's story of walking to school, which will explain why I have worked so hard to improve the Harrison crosswalk. Every morning, as my 6-year-old gets her shoes on to go to school, she asks me, "Mom, are we early or are we late today?" She's asking because she is trying to make the timing work to meet up with her friends at the corner of North Lawn and Glenhaven at the end of our block. When she sees her friends and knows we have made the timing work, she's excited and happily chats with them on their way to school. Clara is disappointed that we only live 1 block from school, so that means that her time with her friends on the way to school is pretty short. So on the way home from school, she rides her bike 2 additional blocks to Shaw Park, where one of her friends lives, just to make the ride home from school a little longer before turning around on her bike and heading home. It's not only the kids that enjoy walking and biking to school. It's the parents. Many of us work remotely. For those of us who work entirely from home, the walk to and from school is often their most significant in-person interaction on a daily basis that we have outside of our homes. I have made friends with other parents on the walk to school. Some days we talk about daily mundane parts of being a parent, and other days we share serious news, such as when a death in someone's family has occurred. These are experiences that can only happen when we walk to school. These interactions would not occur if we were all in our cars. I want the same for all kids in our community, especially those in Southeast Marble and Chesterfield Hills, whose communities have recently activated and been pleading with the city for traffic calming and reduction measures in their neighborhoods. It is important that the city has a process to help its citizens request and implement pedestrian safety improvements for our roadways so that our community members can enjoy the organic interactions that only come when we have casual interactions with one another on our city streets. Currently, the city has the action plan for addressing neighborhood speeding and traffic issues. It is an arduous process, placing the burden of improving pedestrian safety on the citizens. I will provide a copy for each of the council members and encourage all of you to read it and ask yourself whether you would want to go through such a cumbersome process if you were a citizen seeking traffic calming on your street. It should be noted that many problematic areas on our roadways, such as the Harrison Crosswalk, are not even eligible for this plan, as it requires streets to be designated as local streets, which is why our school community didn't even bother with it when we issued our petition earlier this year. I urge the council to vote against formally adopting this plan. Instead, I want to encourage City Council to replace this plan with a simple 1-page plan that lists traffic calming options available to the community, which could be approved up at the discretion of the City Council, removing the burdensome process that is currently in place. I hope that City Council will continue to work with concerned community members who are seeking to improve pedestrian safety in our community. Thank you for your attention, and I'll pass out the traffic action calming plan, which is a city document, to each of the
Thank you
members.
for your input. You can just give it to the clerk and she'll pass it out to us, please. So Gary Mesher.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Gary Mesher. I live at 508 Wayland. My neighbors and I from Southeast Marble neighborhood returned tonight to speak about our ongoing concerns regarding traffic enforcement, speeding, and related noise. First, thank you to City Manager Belleman for his letter of May 15th addressed to me and others from Southeast Marble who have spoken on these topics to City Council and the Transportation Commission the past 2 months. His letter addressed some of the things he has asked city staff to work on to alleviate these problems. He also noted that Police Chief Brown has directed, quote, East Lansing command staff to dedicate patrol officers to traffic enforcement when ELPD shifts exceed minimum staffing. The three most important words in the letter from City Manager Belleman were these: I hear you. Several people from the Glen Caron and Southeast Marble neighborhoods attended the Transportation Commission meeting last night. A few of us stayed the duration, just over 2 hours. One of the commission members suggested that a solution for our Southeast Marble traffic concerns might be something called diagonal diverters in intersections. Perhaps so. Interesting to me, another commission member suggested during the meeting that we look into something called tactical urbanism. And so we will. From that meeting experience last night, it became clear to me that our time is now best spent not in front of the Transportation Commission, but here in front of City Council on a regular basis. One of my neighbors has been in this effort to effect change on our neighborhood streets since last August. Collectively, we are not going away anytime soon, of course. I spoke last month to the Transportation Commission and to City Council in favor of Southeast Marble adopting the Bailey neighborhood four-way stop sign model for our intersections in Southeast Marble. I talked to many people in that neighborhood, including my daughter and son-in-law, and also to Councilmember Altman about the effectiveness of that model throughout Bailey. In response to our Southeast Marble concerns at the April 8th council meeting, Mr. Altman spoke about the lack of political will on the part of council members to address traffic enforcement, speeding, and related noise. Councilmember Meadows also spoke in reply at the April 8th meeting about his upbringing in Dearborn and once upon a time traffic enforcement in that city, adding that he is, quote, yes to stop signs in Southeast Marble. Thank you. Lastly, what can the city do to utilize technology to improve traffic enforcement in East Lansing? Mayor Shore has spoken about potential traffic enforcement scenarios in Lansing, including red camera technology. To City Manager Belleman and to council members, thank you for hearing us.
Thank you for your input. Anybody in the queue?
There are no callers in the queue.
Okay, moving on. Communications from the mayor and council members. Mayor Pro Tem.
Nothing from me this evening.
Okay, Ms. Watson.
I think I'm going to start with the happy news. It's June, so happy Pride. I appreciate being a part of this community and that we acknowledge things like Pride and Juneteenth, which our former council was able to respond to very quickly when the federal government said it was going to be a federal holiday. So yay, June. Congratulations to the high school seniors who will be graduating on Thursday, class of 2025. I wish them the best in their endeavors. And congratulations to the students who this is their final week of school for the East Lansing students. So congratulations to them for making it, and I hope they make good choices and have a lot of fun in the summertime. I think I'll speak to Commissioner Etchison's remarks about City Council and succumbing to the decision to reduce East Lansing Independent Police Oversight's ability to do the work that they've been doing. I did attend the East Lansing Police Oversight Commission meeting, and that might have been why he mentioned you, but I know that Councilmember Meadows attends as well, and we catch up with one another. But it was a very long process, a lot of back and forth that took place behind closed doors. And the legal advice was to follow the directive of the labor attorney in her negotiations, which didn't hit the best for me, but that was where we landed. And I guess in turning a page with a new police chief as well as a new prosecuting attorney coming in, I look forward to tidying up and raising expectations for how we do get along with one another and how we understand that safety and security in our community is a goal for everyone, but it looks different maybe from a police perspective versus our community perspective. But it makes sense that we try to work alongside each other and especially hold those accountable who can carry lethal force on them. And the next thing that I'll say is I was able to attend the Transportation Commission yesterday, and I just enjoy community thought and hearing from the community, and also like different visions, like understanding that our process is tedious. Like it's one thing where I think everything's covered when a neighborhood complains about speed, but really come to find out it's a difficult process and possibly antiquated. And so I just appreciate the community's feedback. And I'm curious and have left a message with our city manager, who's not here right now, but in town right now. But it's my question about the relationship of neighborhood associations to supporting neighbors, to the school support and the role each other could play to back each other up. I'm supposedly in Bailey neighborhood, but I don't hear from my neighborhood association. And I do am curious just again about the type of representation that's occurring amongst the neighborhood associations and who's consistently just kind of left out because maybe we haven't lived there long enough, or maybe they've already formed their group. But Bailey, for example, is a very large neighborhood, so perhaps different communications in a different association is needed. And the last thing I'll share is I just take very seriously some of the feedback was neighbors' willingness to purchase stop signs, or how do we take advantage of the Ring cameras, or you can purchase those speed radars. And so I'm just, again, trying to visualize and support what's happening in our communities. And my last thing is, I think with the road diets being mostly complete all over the place, it's time to revisit the impact that that has had for neighborhoods. Hagedorn, which is the street that I'm on, it's great for biking, but I definitely get that I cannot make a left without waiting a very long period of time during certain times of the day. And then that means I will cut through the neighborhood, and similar for others. But I think, like I said, we've made what we wanted to do for the diets, and so now it's time to do some reflection on how that impacted those other neighborhoods. And that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Meadows.
Well, I'll try to do a couple of things here. One, I did go on the internet immediately to look up tactical urbanism. So I'll read just a little bit of that. It says it's an approach to urban planning that involves short-term, low-cost, and scalable interventions aimed at improving public spaces and enhancing community engagement. So I'm not sure that's what we're really looking for. I'll just say, because I'm looking for a long-term, permanent fix so that we can make our neighborhoods safe. And that's what I hope we'll be looking for. Somebody brought up walking to school, and I have to say that the world has kind of changed here. I've got 4 kids. They walk to Bailey, they walk to Marble, they walk to McDonald's, and they walk to the high school when they entered high school. We just weren't driving them to school. I'm not saying I never picked anybody up at school or anything like that, but I think there's been a change in our community, and we see more and more students dropped off at school, and I'm not sure what the motivation is with regard to that, but that also changes the dynamics around a school that we weren't seeing in the past. So we have to react to that, and we have to accept that there have to be plans for each of our schools to make sure that everybody who does walk and does drive to the school does so in a safe manner. And that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at, I think, during these next months. And I might say that when you talk about how neighborhood associations become active, usually they're the most active when there's an issue within the community or within the neighborhood that needs the community association or the neighborhood association to get together and start to work on it. So within the last month, beginning with our first, I think, responses with regard to the Glencairn issue that we have, we've heard from Glencairn, Southeast Marble, Chesterfield Hills. I'm sure we're going to hear from other neighborhoods as well. So in one sense, the issue involving the speeding at Glencairn has, I think, made every neighborhood take a look at how things are happening within the neighborhood, and that's a very good thing. And the fact that you're coming here to council meetings and addressing us and talking about this is also a great thing. And you know, we're not foolish enough to ignore what happens at that microphone at every council meeting. And so we'll be looking at all this, and I hope we'll be working with the neighborhood associations. I just ended my presidency of my condominium association, and the fact that we were able to get a lot of things done during that time period means that now we can focus on all these neighborhoods, and that speeding issue, the idea how traffic moves through there, how pedestrians can safely move in the neighborhood, are all things that I think are at the top of the list for us at this point in time. So thanks for all your comments on this, not just tonight, but the letters we've seen, the emails, everything involving this is all positive. I think it shows what a great community we are.
Councilmember Altman.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Gary for supplying my microphone stand, which is working great. But people in the audience can tell me if I'm audible now. Maybe I am a little bit better than I was. Simple solutions to complex problems, right? That's what we're all after. I want to address, I think, 3 issues. The first one is bearing utilities, which is an issue that Jim brought up. And this is very important. It's also very expensive, and it's a long-term proposition to do it in neighborhoods where the utilities are already in the sky. And it's a strategic priority for us. It's one of our 10 strategic priorities. I put it on the list not because I expected a solution anytime soon, but because I wanted a discussion about where we would have to go to make that happen. And we got, I think the plan is there are discussions happening between DPW and BWL behind the scenes. And I think we're going to get an update on that at our next quarterly update on strategic priorities. So there may be some information about what that whole process entails. But the bottom line is it's going to be expensive. And the reason that MSU can afford, to put all its power underground is because MSU is its own utility. Right? They have direct control over those things. We don't have control over the utility that supplies most of the city, so that's another complicating factor. So it is really important. It's important for reliability of power. It's important for our tree canopy. And it's important for aesthetics. Nobody wants all that junk in the sky, right? It's ugly. If you go along Bircham Road, it's just ugly. And it doesn't have to be that way. But fixing it is expensive. So it's a really important issue, and we got to keep the conversation going, but there's no near-term fix is what I'm seeing. On the subject of May 15th and the windstorm, which ties into that issue, we have some data from the Sustainability Office in DPW. So we have a block pruning program where we hired a contractor to go around and evaluate city trees for decay and structural problems that might compromise their health in the long term. And they're working their way through the city, and there are some neighborhoods that they've worked in and some neighborhoods that they have not. And one of the things they do is they look for ways to make trees more resilient to high wind. And so in the aftermath of May 15th, staff went around and looked at 2 areas, one of which had been pruned, and the other one, right across the street, had not been pruned. So it was as close to a natural experiment as you're going to get. And this is an area, the Bessemer area to the east was pruned, and then the South Pinecrest area to the west had not been pruned. But both areas were subject to high winds during that particular event. And the pictures are pretty dramatic. The block pruning helped a lot. The trees fared really well. They also came through Bailey because Bailey has a large number of trees that suffer storm damage. And anecdotally, the trees there fared pretty well. Private trees in areas that had been pruned, where the city trees had been pruned, private trees were coming down. So it's sort of a nice set of contrasts that illustrates the benefits of pruning your trees, right? And it's not just keeping them healthy, it's the cost of cleaning them up when they come down and all the damage that they cause when they come down. So I mentioned this for a couple of reasons. One is it's a great program and it's efficient. It helps reduce costs in ways that I at least had not anticipated. But I also wanted to float this for the benefit of homeowners who have trees in their backyards, okay, or nearby. It may be worth calling out a reputable firm to have a look at those trees and see whether they maybe need a little bit of pruning, because it could be good for the tree and it could save a lot of money and a lot of heartache down the line. So that was sort of a light bulb going on in my head when I saw that analysis. The last thing I'll talk about is traffic. I want to echo Mark's comments. I think the dialogue with residents has been productive and has helped keep us focused. I will say that my current puzzle is why we have to be as conservative as we are with adding new stop signs. I'm not quite sure I understand that. I gather that there is some data that stop signs that are not warranted can actually cause increased hazards for pedestrians, but I want to understand that data, and the community needs to understand that data at some point. And I am thinking of a similar issue that we had with the road diets that went in at various places. So the road diet for Hagedorn, for example, there was considerable concern from the community about the effects that would have. And one of the things that DPW put together was a packet showing the data and the arguments for why road diets were actually going to be helpful. And I found that helpful because it helped me understand, okay, is this smoke and mirrors or is this real? And I think we need a similar sort of analysis for what seemed to be pretty obvious traffic calming techniques like putting in stop signs. And I'm less concerned with the state law provision that says that we shouldn't use stop signs for traffic control than I am doing the obvious thing if it works. And what's going on in the back of my head is something that happened with the Trowbridge project, which we considered about a year and a half ago. And as I was sort of doing my homework for that one of the things I came to understand is that the reason there used to be no signals on eastbound Trowbridge is because MDOT thought that that was going to cause problems with traffic stacking back up to the off-ramps of 127 and 496 because there wasn't much distance there. So at the time I thought, okay, that's reasonable, and that seems to be a rule that they have that they follow sort of without exclusion. And then as part of the negotiations for that project, the one sticking point was whether there should be a signal on eastbound Trowbridge. And when it became clear that that was the only thing standing in the way of the project going ahead, suddenly it was okay to have a signal on eastbound Trowbridge. And it sort of dawned on me at that point that these rules are sort of perfectly inflexible until suddenly they're flexible. And I wonder if there's sort of a similar way to think about how we handle stop signs and other what seem to be pretty obvious traffic calming techniques. So that's going to be the focus of mine as we continue to have these discussions. So thank you.
Okay, I can't think of anything to possibly add to the discussion tonight from this table. So do we have a acting city manager report?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of items. I would like to remind community members that the Charter Review Committee meets again on June 12th and June 26th. Those meetings take place at 6:30 p.m. at the Hannah Community Center and are open to the public. The East Lansing Farmers Market and the East Lansing Family Aquatic Center both opened for the season this past weekend. Today would have been a perfect day to be at the East Lansing Family Aquatic Center. Upcoming events for Albert Alfresco include Sunday, June 8th, the Glam Jam Summer Kickoff from 12 to 4, and Saturday, June 14th is East Lansing Pride from 4 to 9. One final item, due to no mow May, an additional no-fee yard waste collection has been added for early June. Properties west of Abbott had their collection yesterday, but I wanted to remind residents east of Abbott that your no-fee yard waste collection will take place this coming Monday, June 9th. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Attorney report?
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Okay. Representative Cernglou, do you have a special presentation for us tonight? To one of our honored former employees?
Thank you. Is that working? Okay. Thank you, Mayor Brookover. Today, I'm honored to present a legislative tribute on behalf of the state of Michigan to Chief Dawn Carson upon her retirement from the East Lansing Fire Department. After more than 3 years leading the department as East Lansing's first woman fire chief and over 30 years at East Lansing Fire Department, Chief Carson is now stepping down after an inspiring career. During her time as chief, Ms. Carson prioritized firefighter mental and physical health, pushing for the department to acquire new equipment to reduce the strain on employees, and ensuring that East Lansing Fire Department employees have the resources they need to address the trauma that comes with being a firefighter. Working as a firefighter can take an emotional and physical toll, and Chief Carson was determined to increase peer support for employees involved in especially difficult calls and help facilitate resources to firefighters. Today, thanks to Chief Carson's efforts, there is a built-in support system for challenging calls as a way to remind emergency responders that they have support within the department. Chief Carson has dedicated the last 30 years to East Lansing, and her incredible determination has left its mark on the department. I want to thank her for her tireless commitment to helping Michigan families and congratulate her on her retirement. In honor of her 30-year career with the City of East Lansing, I'm proud to present a legislative tribute to thank her for all her hard work and for best wishes in her retirement. So thank you so much, Chief Carson.
Chief, do you want to bless us with some words? Looks like you have an index card or something ready.
First, I want to sincerely thank you for the tribute recognizing my service as chief. I am truly honored and humbled for this recognition. I would also like to express my deep appreciation to former Fire Chief Randy Telefero for his guidance and encouragement, which inspired me to pursue the education training necessary to prepare for this leadership role. It has been an incredible privilege to lead the East Lansing Fire Department in my final years of service and see my vision for the department come to life. I can confidently say that the men and women of this department are among the finest in the region. Their dedication, professionalism, and commitment to our community are unmatched. Last, I would like to thank you, the City Council, past and present, for allowing me the opportunity to serve and all your support in my time here. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Representative. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Acting City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. For your consideration this evening, the following is on the consent agenda. Item 4.1, approve the following appointments or reappointments to boards or commissions. A, reappoint Justin Hewson to the Downtown Development Authority for a full term ending June 30th, 2029. B, reappoint Bob Idakovic to the Downtown Development Authority for a full term ending June 30th, 2029. Item 4.2, set a date of June 17th, 2025 for a public hearing to receive comments on proposed ordinance 1546, an amendment to section 50-94 of the Zoning Ordinance, which would change the process for developers seeking to transfer credits in association with the diverse housing requirement for certain developments in downtown East Lansing. Item 4.3, approve a resolution recognizing June 2025 as Pride Month. Item 4.4, approve a resolution acknowledging June 19th, 2025 as the Juneteenth holiday. Item 4.5, approve an amended resolution which reschedules a public hearing from June 3rd, 2025 to July 15th, 2025 for determining the necessity and advisability of vacating the platted public right-of-way in accordance with the Michigan Land Division Act at MCL 560.257. Item 4.6, approve a street closure for the eastbound and westbound lanes on Albert Avenue between Charles Street and Division Street, as well as a public right-of-way request for the East Lansing Extravaganza scheduled for August 23rd, 2025, with a rain date set for August 24th, 2025. Item 4.7, approve a street closure for the eastbound and westbound lanes on Albert Avenue between Grove Street and MAC Avenue for Albert Alfresco 80s Night scheduled for July 17th, 2025. That is all you have this evening.
May we have a motion with regard to the consent agenda, please?
Move approval?
Moved by Altman, second by
Second.
Singh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We therefore then move to our business agenda, which only contains one item tonight. Item 5.1, consideration of request from Hassan Beydoun of Decora Inc. on behalf of Pizza Wallas for approval of a special use permit located at 523 East Grand River Avenue. The applicant's request is to allow alcohol service. The property is zoned B3 City Center Commercial. Staff, please.
Good evening, Grace Whitney, Associate Planner. This application came to council on the May 13th meeting for a public hearing. The plans are mostly the same, except for the occupancy has been revised to better reflect the number of spaces in the restaurant. It was originally set at 260 and has been decreased to 98 patrons. This includes 80 seats in the dining room, and then the remaining 18 occupants are made up of kitchen staff, potential occupants of restrooms, storage areas, and the lobby waiting area. The exact numbers broken down for each of these 18 people is on the front sheet of their proposed plans. This occupancy has been approved by the building department and fire department for building permits for the renovation of the space for a restaurant. The proposal right now is just to add alcohol service to that restaurant. 32 people are proposed to be on the seasonal outdoor patio. This is proposed to be in addition to the indoor occupancy. If one of those patrons were to have to go inside to use the restroom, or if they were waiting in the lobby, they would be part of that 18 people that are allotted for that area. And this is allowed with the fire code because the people are already outside and have a means of egress from the patio. At the previous meeting, Councilmember Meadows had asked about approval conditions for the peanut barrel to make sure that this aligned with that. There's not a special use permit on file for the peanut barrel because of how long that has been in service, but the conditions in the staff report match the Jolly Pumpkin. Other than the Jolly Pumpkin seating that is allowed outside requires a decrease from their indoor seating. And the Planning Commission also recommended that the hours of the outdoor seating be limited to 11 p.m. to match the operation hours for the peanut barrel. That's all of the summary that I have.
Do you have a proposed resolution anyplace?
There is one in there.
Yes.
Where is it? I didn't see it.
It's in the, at the
attached?
end of the staff report, I believe. The new staff report.
Yes. Let me find the page.
After
Sorry.
after the pictures?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I see it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I hadn't seen
If you
it.
look at
I see
page
it.
9,
I see
page
it.
9.
I
Okay.
see it. Okay, questions for staff? Go ahead,
Yeah, I've got
please.
a question. I just want to make sure that these new proposed conditions actually reflect what you just said here. Because the way that you indicated, and I think it was in the staff report, the 32 seasonal seats would be additional seats during the season.
Mm-hmm.
But it just says seasonal seating for up to 32 additional persons may be provided in the outdoor service areas. That isn't clear to me that it's in addition to the 98 that we're providing indoors. I just want to make sure this language is going to reflect that. That's all. And then one question, and this might be for the applicant as well, which is on a number of these we also restrict the music in the outdoor area. And this doesn't have anything regarding it. So I want to make sure that we do restrict any amplified music in the outdoor area. And if you're not planning to do that, then I'd like to have that in here so that it's prohibited, actually. Okay.
Yeah, we plan to match the environment that we have already for Peanut Barrel. As far as I know, they do not have any music outside, and we plan to continue that way.
So you wouldn't have a problem, let's say, with a condition 11 that provided outdoor, live, or amplified music is prohibited?
I will not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions for staff? Yes, sir.
Grace, you said that the Planning Commission recommended that the patio not be operational after 11 p.m. Is that condition already in the 10 conditions in the
Yes.
report?
Yep, that's in there, and that was to match the hours of operation for the Peanut Barrel. The previous approval conditions for other restaurants typically was midnight, but they recommended 11 to match the neighboring business.
Got it. And that's condition 9 then? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions? Mark, I'm looking at this last sentence in what I'll call the introductory paragraph. I think I understood what your question is. I guess I'm trying to figure out. I thought this answered this. So the last sentence in the introductory paragraph says, this approval includes alcohol service with an interior capacity not to exceed 98 persons, with seasonal outdoor seating for up to 32 additional persons for the following reasons. Doesn't that satisfy your question? Because you say 32 additional?
Yeah, it's just that the following conditions of approval, I mean, there are actual conditions on these SUPs that are set out. So there's 10 conditions. And I was just saying that I just want to make sure that the language there actually reflects that. It doesn't actually say that necessarily, but it says there's 98 in, there's a seasonal seating for up to 32 additional persons. Instead of saying like an additional 32 people can be seated in the seasonal area, which is a little bit clearer. So
instead of additional, would it make sense to reword that as seating for up to 32 people in addition to indoor seating may be provided? Does that make, okay. I understand that.
Councilmember, if I may,
Please.
This is provided as a template, and you are extremely welcome to change the words. As far as the outdoor, the hours of the outdoor seating area, to your point about no amplified or live music, I would suggest, I guess, if you're inclined to make that condition, perhaps instead of prohibiting it out altogether, just limit the hours to 11 p.m., which I think could have the same effect.
yeah, I guess I feel like I don't want, suddenly a band to show up in this particular location. We don't have any amplified music I'm aware of along that strip, and you're not interested in doing that anyway, so I think by putting a prohibition there, if there's anything that changes in the future, we can always revisit this in some way.
Landon, how long have you been with us now?
Just about 2 years.
That's what I was going to say. And I just appreciate that after 2 years, you've let us know that it is okay for us to change the wording you suggest to us. I really do appreciate that.
Mayor, I'm here to enable you.
And an Okemos High School guy and everything else is just, I really appreciate that. That's, at my advanced age, that's nice to know. Any other questions for staff? Yes, sir.
Mayor, so I just want to confirm that if we grant a liquor license, it runs with the special use permit, right?
So the liquor license is granted by Laura, and they have the authority to determine the entity that is in possession of that license. The special use permit serves as the local approval that would allow them to obtain the liquor license. And the special use approval does run with the land. So in theory, there could potentially be a future, another business here. It's not tied to the ownership, it's tied to the land.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, is whether the current owner could sell the business to somebody else, and the new owner would inherit the SUP with the permission that we granted for them to seek the license from Laura.
Yes, that's correct, but all of the conditions that are placed on this SUP would also be applicable to that future business.
Right. And do we have, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. Do we have any control over things like the menu or other aspects of the business model?
No, the land use is just a restaurant with alcohol service,
Right.
and that's all we can regulate as far as that goes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I was going to make a joke and
Okay.
deemed it inappropriate.
Okay. And probably all my jokes are inappropriate too, but you guys you're very kind to me. Any other questions for staff?
No, but I'll note, and I'm sure that Carrie was about to point out that we used to, when we had the 50-50 rule, that sometimes there were 3 or 4 different kinds of ketchup that would meet the needs, so.
I do remember that. So, do we have a motion?
I do have a motion, and I'll just indicate that I had intended to vote against this if we stuck with the 260 people on this site, but I'm satisfied with the changes, and I appreciate that you have agreed to make some changes that make this, I think, a better project, frankly. And I would move that we approve the request with the following conditions as listed on page 10 of 10 of the staff report, the 10 conditions there, with an additional 11th condition, which reads outdoor, live, or amplified music is prohibited in the outdoor seating area.
Okay, so I'm going to second a motion to approve a request from Hassan Beydoun of Decora Inc. for alteration of the interior space for a new restaurant, Pizza Wallace, with alcohol service in the existing building and a modified patio. This approval includes alcohol service with an interior capacity not to exceed 98 persons, with seasonal outdoor seating for up to 32 additional persons for the following reasons. Number one, the proposed development does meet all applicable ordinance requirements. Number two, the proposal does meet the standards of review identified in sections 50-38 of the Code of Ordinances. Item 3, the proposed use of the property is compatible with surrounding land uses and will not adversely impact the use and enjoyment of adjacent properties. And then, as Mr. Meadows already indicated, the additional now 11 conditions of approval apply as set forth on the second page of the document we have. So I'm seconding that motion. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I've never had Pizza Walla before, but I'm excited to vote in favor. I think it's cool that the applicant mentioned that they live in Okemos, so it's a local person. Thanks for giving this an opportunity and thinking about that space. And it's also nice to know if I don't like the pizza, I can always have a beer. So thank you.
Have you switched from hard liquor to beer? I didn't know when that happened. Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
If I could.
Sure.
So I'm going to vote against this application on grounds that it will cause or continue an undue concentration of similar uses in the neighborhood, such that liquor establishments and trade become a dominant influence or feature of the district or neighborhood. I think we have enough liquor licenses in the downtown. And I am concerned that that you need to think about following the money, and the money is not necessarily in something approximating fine dining. The money is in other types of liquor serving establishments in the downtown. And so it may be what we've been promised for a while, but I suspect in the end it's going to be something like we see along Abbott right in the downtown, which is something we don't need more of. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Altman?
No.
Councilmember Meadows?
Yes.
Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Singh?
Yes.
Mayor Brookover?
Yes. Motion passes by a vote of 4-1. That's the close of our business agenda. We then move on to a closed session. Do we have a motion to, with regard to a closed session, please?
Mayor, I move that we enter closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, sub 1, sub H, to review an attorney-client privilege memorandum exempt from disclosure pursuant to MCL 15.243, sub 1, sub G.
Seconded by Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Altman?
Yes.
Councilmember Meadows?
Yes.
Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Singh?
Yes.
Mayor Brookover?
Yes. Okay, we will adjourn to closed session. Do we have a motion?
I move that we go back into open session.
I second the motion. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Altman,
Yes.
Councilmember Meadows,
Yes.
Councilmember Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Singh,
Yes.
Mayor Brookover.
Yes, motion's approved unanimously. Do we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Altman, seconded by Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Thanks, folks.